when I first started, I did everything wrong. For me, I wanted to not only help people with getting their things together, but also letting them know that they can do it.
I think it's important for parents to invest into their kids' vision. You know, this is what I want you to do, but if this is something that strikes your interest, let me invest into that as well.
And so I tell her, I'm like, okay, I don't want you just doing things. I want you to do things that's going to have a return on your investment. What do you really want for your future? We're not talking about right now. You can always have a job, but having something of your own that can be generational wealth is something more cherishable to me.
What challenges do you face with managing and juggling multiple companies, but still staying Denise and still staying true to who you are? What's up, you guys? It's Coach K, and welcome to an episode of Access Granted, where I give you exclusive access to entrepreneurs who are changing the game. Today, I have someone very special to me. She's inside my community, and she is thriving, helping entrepreneurs with their business and their brand, but also just taking her business to the next level. So I want to introduce to you Denise. Denise, thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
I am so excited about all of the amazing things that you are doing. We have the community where, you know, we share value, but inside the community, you are always just a gem. You're like, no, let's do this or let's add this. And I put it out there and say, you know, hey, I want to work with some people inside my community who's available. And you're like, me, right? Immediately. So I just thank you for always being willing and ready to show up. So I want you to tell the audience a little bit about your business before we dive in, and we'll go from there.
Okay. Well, with my business, I help people with business structure. I also do payroll, taxes. With taxes, I do personal, corporate, sales tax, and fuel tax for my truck drivers. I also am a notary, and then I also do my podcast that I do on Wednesdays. And it's more not, I would say, I say podcast, but really like just a live, because I just want to do that to help my clients with promoting their businesses and also give value and motivation to people who want to start a business on their own as well. So I give tips during that time so people can get different tips on what to do when it comes to their business, and also just help them keep motivated so they don't feel like they're doing it alone and they don't have nobody to help them.
I love it, which is kind of why we started the community, so that you have somebody to help you and keep you accountable and push you to the next level. You talked about a lot, right? So you talked about the notary, you talked about the tax business, and there are entrepreneurs out there who are trying to juggle it all, along with being a mom, along with still having a social life. What challenges do you face with managing and juggling multiple companies, but still staying Denise and still staying true to who you are?
I think it's the time management. I have to get better with it myself too. I've been doing pretty well with it so far. So I've been trying to like set up days on when I'm doing certain things, because I do have like I said, I have the travel business as well, which I try to push that more so on my Tuesdays. And then I work my other business on the other day. I try to do any help with that at night, and I push certain things like when it comes to my accounting business during the day. So it's like I just fluctuate times more so than anything. And I'm trying to now first work on marketing on Sundays. So I'm starting to do where I do like my weekly marketing for social media, where I put all my posting on Sundays so I don't have to worry about it throughout the week.
I'm the same. People ask me all the time, you know, how are you always on social media? How are you showing up? How do you post 6 times a day? And I try to make sure on Sundays I dedicate time to where I'm scheduling like what I'm going to do. And then I use that schedule post app all the time to where it's kind of helping me just kind of stay consistent. And I think that's big, managing your time and then just making sure that you have that schedule out there. Just make sure that you show up, but keeps you on track and that accountability as well. So I thank you for that, Jim. You mentioned helping other entrepreneurs as well. Is that because you made mistakes with starting your business or starting your journey, or is it just because it's a passion? Because I started my business, or I started helping others because I made a ton of mistakes. I used all of my personal funding to start my business. I was in debt. I was drowning. And grants allowed me to save my business and save my brand. So I started teaching others to show them the opportunities that were available. So is that kind of the same with you? Is that just because you made...
It was the same thing. I made so many mistakes in the beginning. When I first started out, it was so crazy because when I first started, I did everything wrong. I didn't check about my name. I didn't do any of that. So I went on the site, just like, I'm just go ahead and make a website, put all these business cards out there. And the next thing I know, when I started learning little things, little by little, I learned somebody else had the name. So then I end up having to trash the website, trash all the business cards, and then start all over. And so that's when I was like, okay, now that I'm learning different things and different steps, and that's when I was like, okay, let me show other people and let other people know, because I didn't have that myself. I was just like, I'm just going to go out here, and the reason why was because I needed to have a plan B. And so that was my main thing, because of I have, like I was saying, my daughter, and having somebody taking my daughter and not picking them up when I needed them to pick her up. And so had me in a situation at work where they wouldn't allow me to leave. And so I'm sitting there like, okay, I can't leave this job. I have to rely on a total stranger to pick up my child. So having that as a single mother, and then other people out there as single parents, and trying to sit there and juggle, trying to have a job and then learn about your kids. And then also I couldn't never do anything because I was literally always working. And so for me, I wanted to not only help people with getting their things together, but also help them when it comes to like letting them know that they can do it. Because I did go back to school after having my child. I did finish school, because of all the layoffs and different things that I went through. So when I went through layoff after layoff after layoff after being here, I had never experienced that leaving from Philly. Yeah. So when I did that and went through that here, I was like, okay, I have to, not only because of my child, but I have to have a plan B, because if I don't have no money to pay my bills, what am I going to do?
So you left Philly and relocated to Atlanta.
Right.
You got to tell me about that, because everyone I run into in Atlanta, they try to force me to move, right? And I tell people all the time, Atlanta is like entrepreneur city. Like there's so many people who are growing and thriving here. There's so many opportunities, so many chances to network and just be involved and grow your business and grow your brand. So how was that? Did you have family here? Was it a challenge? What made you move to Atlanta? How was it relocating to a completely different area with a baby?
Yeah. Well, it was different for me, I could say, honestly, because when I first moved to Georgia, I actually moved with someone who I thought I was going to be with forever, but it did not work out that way. Yeah. So I wound up being with that person literally for like a year. And at that point, I had already had purchased the house, had the house in my name. So it was like I just couldn't just jump up and be like, I'm going home. So I had no choice but to make it work. And so, at that point, I was like, I had to put on my big draws and like, okay, what's my next steps? And in the beginning, honestly, and I'm being real transparent, I literally went through depression. I literally went through it where I was on the floor and just cried my eyes out for days, because I was like going through all the stuff, like, why did I make this decision? Some people was telling me not to move, and I was just like, I probably should have listened to them, But then after I was like, I just asked God, I just said, hey, please just show me what I need to do and give me my path. And please just help me figure this out. And so literally right after that, I got a call from my girlfriend, which her name is Tanya, from back home, and she had a hair salon in Philly, and she was already a business owner, but she kept telling me, she's like, Nisi, just go ahead, do your own thing. And I was just like, I was always scared, because I was always thinking about that guaranteed money, like I got this money coming from my job, and I got this mortgage now, and I got all this stuff, like how am I gonna do this on my own? And so she was like, just have faith. And she kept telling me that. And then my boyfriend was that I wound up meeting, he started telling me that. So I'm like, I keep hearing this, but I'm not doing it, And so while I was working, I was just like, you know what? After that situation happened with my daughter, that's when I was like, you know what, I'm going to start doing it on the side. But because my business is in accounting and I always worked in accounting, I couldn't promote my business. So my clients, honestly, in the beginning was family and friends, because I couldn't really tell a lot of people because of the conflict of interest.
Gotcha.
And so then it was like, after a while, I was like, okay, I started being able to go into, I went from one job, then after that job, it was like, okay, now to the next job. Now I went to the law firm, then it was like, let me back up. Before I went to the law firm, I started the first job I had was a temp to perm job. It was like, oh, it's going to be here until, it was the temp to perm. After 90 days, you're going to be hired. So I was like, bet. And at that time, I was like, I'll go home for the holidays because it was Christmas time. Went home. On my way coming back to Georgia, they said the job ended.
Oh, wow.
And so I was like, I would have never went home. And so I had to come back, and I was on grind like every moment. Like I literally day and night was looking for a job. And so then that's when I found the next job. And that job was the job that I was talking about where they wouldn't let me leave. Then not long after, I stayed there literally almost a year. And then they actually had to shut down because they got bought out by another mortgage company. So then at that time, they were like, hey, if whoever don't, if you don't leave, you'll get a package, just and the other. But I was so nervous because I'm like, I got this mortgage. I'm scared. So I was like, I'm not going to wait around for a package. I'm just going to go get another job. Yeah. And so that's what I wound up going to go. I was like, I'm going to go. That's when I said I found taxes. And I was like, you know what? I'll go take a tax course, and I'm going to start doing that right away. Yeah. Went to take the tax course. They said, you're going to make minimum wage. I said, oh, no, baby. That's not going to work.
Not going to work for me.
So I wound up looking. So I was like, let me look again. Look for another job. So that's when I wound up finding a job, and it was at the law firm. I was there for almost 5 years. Then they closed down. And then I was like, okay, this time I'm not going to be stupid. I'm going to go ahead and take that package and the severance package. And I used that time to go back to school and get my degree. I love it. And when I did that, that's when I said, once I got my degree, I was like, during that time while I was doing it, I went and been an intern. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to just go to school. I'm going to work in somebody, get hands-on experience, because I was more with, like, I was doing personal tax and stuff like that, but I wanted to get more knowledge on corporates. And so that's when I went and started doing more work with corporates inside an accounting firm. And I was like, you don't even have to pay me. I just want to be here for the knowledge. Oh, and wow. So, because at the time I was getting the money from, the package, the severance package. So I was getting that plus unemployment. So I was like, I'm not going to be greedy. I just want the help to get the knowledge, So I did that. And then that's when I was like, okay, not long after that, after I got my degree and stuff, that's when I started doing my business and started pushing it on.
I love it. Yeah. So, and you mentioned something. I've actually had kind of the same obstacle. I worked for a financial institution for a very long time, and I knew I got very comfortable, and I knew it was time for me to pivot, but I just kind of stayed in. I got very complacent. Well, I couldn't really promote what I was doing with my business and my brand, helping others. And when I did, I was actually terminated. So I was terminated for teaching entrepreneurs how to scale and grow their business and how to get access to funding. But I knew my time was up, right? I just wanted that guaranteed funding. I had people connected with me and was like, you don't leave no money on the table. You don't leave guaranteed money on the table, right? So that was important to me, but it was also important that I had that structure and that foundation for my daughter. And I tell people all the time that I think people should work a corporate job, especially until you reach certain financial goals. You get that education, you get that foundation, you get that assurity, right? So to know what's going to come in, but also just being an example to my kid was kind of important to me, right? But you still can be an amazing entrepreneur and still set amazing examples, but it was just a little different for me. So do you incorporate that in teaching your kids, or do you encourage them to be entrepreneurs? So or
like right now, my daughter is 19. She goes to Bethune-Cookman. Okay. She's going to school for law. Love it. Now, I know at Christmas time, I'm like, okay, you're older now. So at this point, I'm so big. Like I said, I have to travel as well. And she loves to travel. Like my child goes more places than I do sometimes.
I can relate.
And so, I tell her, I'm like, okay, I don't want you just doing things. I want you to do things that's going to have a return on your investment. If you like to go traveling, you want to go to Miami, you want to go to Mexico, you want to do all this stuff, why not make money doing it? So that's when I told her I got her into the travel business. And so she can make money on her own travel.
Oh, that's
and
good.
And then for Christmas, I was like, okay, you still need another, have a little side hustle, because I know she can't travel all the time. And then she was like, okay. I said, what do you like to do? She said, lashes. I said, okay. So for Christmas, that's your gift. You're going to get a lash class. And so you can be able to make your extra money. So I don't need them phone calls that you keep giving me every single $20. So I got her the lash class. So now she can actually be able to make money at school doing lashes for the girls at school.
Yeah, so I love that. I think it's important for parents to invest into their kids' vision. This is what I want you to do, but if this is something that strikes your interest, let me invest into that as well.
And that's what I told her. It has to be your passion. happen.
Yeah.
And I'm big on that because I'm like, I tell her, I don't want you to just do something just because you're going to make money. I want you to do it because you're passionate about it and it's something that you really like, because I don't want you to feel like it's a job, because once it feel like a job, you ain't going to want to do it.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, make sure whatever you pick is something that you truly like to do.
Absolutely. So earlier you mentioned the importance of just structuring your business, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that you made some mistakes when
Yes.
structuring your business. When you learned the proper ways to structure your business and you went back in and made those corrections, what success did you see? How were you able to take that information and kind of scale it in your business?
It was so, for me, and I laugh now because I got connected to you and your community with the grants, but honestly, I wouldn't have been able to do anything that I really was able to do now with my business if I didn't have that structure. And not only that, even with some of the grants that I started applying for, with being in a community that you started showing us, you had to have those things in place to have some of those grants. So I was like, thank God that I've learned, some of these different things that I did, because if I didn't, I wouldn't, even during the pandemic, like if I didn't have certain things put in place when it came to my business, I wouldn't have been able to even get money during that time.
Absolutely.
So it was like having that different, structure and set up, it helped me become not only more marketable, but it also helped me like let people know I'm for real about my business. So I started getting more clients pouring into me because they're starting to see, okay, she's legit. She's not just saying she have a business. Her business is now on paper, and you can actually see all her credentials. You can go search me, Google me, and everything now, whereas though before you couldn't do none of that.
Yeah. And I think people miss out on so many opportunities because they're afraid to take that step. They're afraid to make that investment. They're afraid to learn how to structure their business, and they don't realize that they're limiting themselves from millions of dollars in grant funding or even business credit and business funding that's available for every entrepreneur, no matter where they are in their business. What words of encouragement would you give to the entrepreneur that's scared to take the leap? That's the mother who's working a job and afraid to lose or leave. And I'm not saying quit your job, but like, what words of encouragement would you give that mother or that person or that entrepreneur that's considering starting but not really sure where they want to go or what to do?
I would say, and I'm more of that down-to-earth conversation type of person, and I'm like, what do you really want for your future? We're not talking about right now. And for me, I look at it by me being a single parent, and then I look at sometimes with people passing away and not having different things in place for their family members. What do you want to have in there for yours? If you have your child, if you die today or tomorrow, what do you have in place for that child other than a life insurance policy? Do you have something that they can say, that they can come to? If your child can't work and something happens, can your child come and work for you? Like, I always look at it as, you can always have a job, but having something of your own that can be generational wealth is something more cherishable to me when it comes to anything. Because if my child is sitting home, and I'm big on, you need to work for things, and I want to show her different things, so therefore it's not just me just giving you money. I'm teaching you something on top of it, because you're going to work for what you're getting. So at the end of the year, when I'm giving you this money, is because you did some paperwork for me, or you did something, so you're getting a 1099 at the end of the year. I'm teaching you these different things so you can know. So it's like, I don't want to just give to you. I want you to understand, so long term, you can have these same values in your life where you can pass these same things on to your child. And so that's why I was like, even with the travel, like, I know she hates accounting because she says it's boring. So I know she would never do that. But I know with that travel business, that's residual income and generational wealth. And so I make money on that even when I'm not working it. So I'm like, I just want you to have things in place so you can, be able to set yourself up. Because I know, like, if I die, she'll get that money weekly and monthly, nonstop.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, I just like to teach those type of things. And I tell people to do that yourself, especially as a single parent, because we never know. And, you never know when something can happen. We can leave here tomorrow. So you just always want to be prepared for something going forward.
Yeah, I love that. I think education and knowledge is like the true generational wealth, right? We can pass down money, but if they don't have the knowledge and the mindset on what to do with the funding, we've failed our kids.
Exactly.
You're leaving them $1 million and not knowing what to do with $1 million just sets them up for failure.
They blow it at the mall.
I've seen it so many times, especially when I worked at the bank. So listen, I want to do something amazing with you today, if that's okay.
Okay.
I want to apply for some grants, right? So that's my baby. That's what I love to do, and I know how passionate you are about getting grant funding under your belt. So I always tell people all the time, grant funding is a debt-free strategy to scale and grow your business to the next level. But one benefit that you have is that you have multiple companies and multiple organizations, right? So each company that you have qualifies for funding and qualifies for grants. So every EIN number that we have, we can apply for grants. So I want to assist you with just doing some hands-on grant applications. We'll probably just do a couple, but just want to assist you with how to answer those questions, what to put in there, and how to properly set that foundation to get you access to funding. Is that okay?
Awesome.
All right, let me grab my laptop. Actually could apply for each company, right?
Okay.
So each company that has an EIN or each business that's established, you actually could apply. This grant is going to actually ask you one question, and they're simply going to ask, what will you use this grant for? So when you are applying for grants, I always encourage entrepreneurs just to make sure that when you are talking about how you're going to use the funds, that you talk about the impact, right? You talk about your passion. You talk about being able to scale and grow your business to the next level when you get access to the capital. So a lot of times as entrepreneurs, we make the mistake of applying for a grant and saying, hey, I'm just going to use it for my business, or hey, I'm going to use it to go on vacation, or hey, I just need it, right? Or to catch up on hardship. And companies and organizations, they want to be able to see, or they want to see that you're going to scale your business to the next level when you get access to the funding. So if you're using, or you're talking about your travel business, for example, saying that you're going to take the $2,500 and educate others on how they can start or incorporate the travel business and make a source of passive income, or either taking a group of youth on a trip or a vacation, it's going to help you with that passion as well. So we can get started with the Legacy Grant, $2,500 grant. This grant, again, it's going to ask your name. It's going to ask your email. A lot of entrepreneurs make the mistake of using a Gmail account for their business, right? And that's part of the structure, making sure you have a business email address, so info@yourbusiness.com. It's also going to ask your business phone number. Describe your business a little bit, and simply describe how you're going to use the funding when you receive it, and then hit submit. All right, and just like that, you just completed a grant. So that took less than 60 seconds to complete a grant and put your name in the pool of getting access to $2,500. That's our time here with Access Granted. I am so thankful just to meet you in person again, right? To meet you in person and just being able to connect with you. But is there anything that you want to share? Tell the people how they can connect with you, and how they can just, you can assist them with their business and their journey, and just any information you want to leave us with today.
Okay, well, I'm Denise Murray. I have a business called Unique Business Experience. With my business, I do help, like I said, with bookkeeping, payroll, taxes. I also do notary services. And with that business, if you need anything for your business, I mainly deal with a lot of small business owners, where I'm helping them so they don't have to be so focused on the financial side of their business. And again, if you're interested in starting your own travel business, I have that business as well, which is Travel by Denise, and you can also reach me on Instagram at UBELLC_. My website is ubellc.net. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, wherever you're watching this at, we'll make sure we include Denise's information in the comment section. So I just appreciate you for just stopping in today and joining Access Granted and providing so much value and exclusive access to the world of Denise. So thank you again, and we just appreciate you joining.
Thank you so much.
All right, that's a wrap, y'all.
Coming from these Philly streets, walking to my own beat, telling noisemakers I won't compete. Cause I know I'm gonna be a beast. I go hard for what I want, I go hard for what I need. Travel business for my seed, accounting business for my need.